All right, well, it's now, according to my time, 2:08. We technically don't have quorum. However, I think we can discuss things without actually making any kind of vote. Um, the main reason why we're having this meeting is because we did receive the rates for Maya. Um, I think most of you may have already seen them. In terms of the regular non-medics plans, we're looking at a 3.1% increase in terms of, and that includes Blue Care Elect Preferred, Access Blue New England Saver, and HMO Blue New England, which is the main plan for most. Also for dental, which we offer voluntarily, the people can opt into that at their own cost. There is actually a significant premium decrease of 7.95%. We had quite a number of conversations with Maya. I'm not sure where Carrie is right now, but we had quite a number of conversations as to the rate increase. Obviously, we would prefer it be less than 3.1. However, unlike prior years, we did relatively well prior to several years, the last several years before. One thing that is helping the town tremendously is its claims experience. We're seeing better numbers in terms of claims experience, and that is the number one determinant in determining rates. Again, it's 3.1. We're always trying to get that number as low as possible, but we're hoping if the trends continue in claims experience, that will show up in future years as well. I guess that's really the main point. In terms of medics, as you may recall, those rates do not come out until January. Melissa, do you remember what the rate was last January? Melissa?
It went up from 143 to 146. I'd have to look up the exact percentage.
Yeah, well, it was a relatively negligible increase, and I think the year before it was actually zero. So we have not seen large increases in medics. We're hoping, obviously, that trend continues come later in the year where we're quoted out. As you know, there is a lot of discussions as to the various plans, as to contribution levels, as to providing contributions toward HSA accounts, as to less of an issue, plan design. That is being currently negotiated at the union levels by the school and the town. The select board has indicated their desire for a increase in the contribution level, and Sean and I are empowered to try to find money for that purpose.
Any of you have any money for that purpose?
In terms of the finances of the health system, I mean, it's pretty, as you know, because we're no longer self-insured, the numbers are pretty, expenses in, expenses out. There is always a cash flow component. The schools in particular they don't pay all throughout the year. They pay for 40-week period and such that affects the cash flow. But we are, as we should be, in balance in terms of the trust. So there are no monetary issues in terms of the trust. Again, that number as to the balance will vary greatly throughout the year, depending on what part of the year. And again, a lot of that has to do with how we collect the monies for the teachers, which the teachers represent the largest grouping in our healthcare plans. It's quiet. You can ask questions.
The claims experience information, is that going to be available to us like it typically is when we have in-person meetings? It wasn't attached to the invitation.
We certainly can provide that. We were given that by Maya, and we certainly would be happy to email all the members with that info.
Greg, I was just also going to just interject to tell you all what the trust range was. If you remember with Maya, they actually have a rate range. So
Yeah.
they have minimum increase or decrease and a maximum and then an average. So on the health insurance where you got a 3.1% increase, the minimum was a negative 1.5% up to a high of 8.3%. And the average was 3.7%. So you actually, I mean, obviously you would like to see it below 3.1, but you beat the average. And then you were almost at the minimum on dental. They have a separate range for dental, which went from a -8 to a plus 1.8%, with the average being a -1.9%. So you did very well on your dental rate.
Do you know, Melissa, did Carrie just give us the claims experience stuff, or did she actually email it? I'm looking right now to see if I can.
I can try to see if we can find it.
I know she gave it to us, but I don't know if she actually emailed it. Well, she had to, actually. We didn't have a person-to-person meeting given the first one, actually.
Yeah, I do have it. I can forward it on.
Okay.
It was emailed to us March 5th.
March 5th? Okay,
Yes.
I'm looking right now. Yeah, so can you forward it to all members?
Yes.
Now, what does it, I'm looking for it right now on my email. What's it say in terms of the 2-year number and the 1-year number? Do you have that?
Okay, let me open that.
Melissa, there's usually at the end of the packet, there's usually a summary sheet.
Yeah, it looks like she's got HMO is 87.08%. BCE, is that our PPO?
Yes.
She's got that at 92.68%. That's the 24-month loss ratio.
Yeah, so the ideal is to have it below, you want it definitely below 90 and possibly 88, I guess is that correct, Sue?
Usually like ballpark of 85 to 87% is break even.
Yeah, we were,
Meaning, if it's 87, it means 87 cents on every dollar pays per claim. The other 13 cents pays for administration, risk, reserves, things of that nature.
Sue, you want to just give a quick summary as to, what we did about, in terms of getting quotations before the
Sure.
process?
Yep, so prior to FY20, meaning prior to July of 2019, we went to the different carriers. We went directly to Blue Cross, and then we also went to Fallon, Herbert Pilgrim, and Tufts to ask them to quote on your business. And we had to send them census, claims data, enrollment data, large loss information, et cetera, et cetera. This was done prior to the renewal. So as you know, you had a 3.1% increase. For a comparable plan, because Fallon has several different products, but for the most comparable network to what you have, their Fallon Select plan, they came in with a 0.1% reduction on the active plans. But then on the Medicare plan, they came in 30% higher than your FY19 rates. Harvard Pilgrim came in 5.6% higher on the active plans and 7.9% higher on the Medicare plans. And then Tufts came in 0.7% lower on the active plans and 6.5% higher on the Medicare plan. So, for the two plans where the active plans were, as close to a break even as possible, on the renewal rate for the active plans, the Medicare plans, especially on Fallon, would have seen a very large increase. And on Tufts, the increase was greater on the Medicare plans than what you've been experiencing. Certainly if somebody had come in with a very attractive proposal, it would have been something to take a look at. The risk, honestly, of not being part of a big group is that carriers can come in and offer you something attractive, which none of these proposals were super attractive anyway, but they can come in, buy the business, and then on the first renewal, you could get hit because the Division of Insurance doesn't allow the carriers to give multi-year rate guarantees. They can't even give a cap on the second year. So, and that's all on a fully insured basis. So it's always a little bit risky. I have had situations where carriers have come in for other clients and I've looked at the rate and just known that that rate wasn't going to be sufficient because the premium being generated was less than what their current claims were. And again, not saying that that happened here because the rates were all within the same ballpark, but that is the risk when you look at alternate quotes.
And we did also look at other collaboratives as well.
Correct.
And what we found is, well, a few of them are having some financial problems right now. I understand Gateway is particularly, Sue?
I'm just looking, I'm trying to pull up that spreadsheet. Yeah, we also just did a comparison of Cape Cod Municipal Health Group, Southeastern Regional Municipal Health Group, Mayflower Municipal Health Group, West Suburban, and Minuteman Neshoba. They're all not in your geographical region, but we just took a look at those plans. I'll just give an example. Let's see. So the Cape Cod Municipal Health Group, for example, their rates for the HMO, I would say were fairly comparable to what your rates are, but these plans also require a buy-in. So you have to pay a certain amount per person to get into the trust because they have built up trust reserves that have been achieved by the contributing members. And those buy-ins can be up to $500,000, which would add to the cost. But again, nothing jumped out to make us think that this absolutely could make sense.
And Sue, to your earlier point, so even if we migrated to another group, that doesn't mean that those rates would stay low.
Generally, I think most of the groups would give you, if they accepted you first off, because they have to look at your claims experience, so they might not accept you. Generally, the rates that they give you will be the same as the other entities, but then there's a surcharge, like a buy-in surcharge on top of that.
Right, but once we were in, so the next year, there's no guarantee that the rates wouldn't go up.
Correct,
10%?
correct.
Yeah.
Yes. So with most of these groups, they combined the claims experience of all of their entities. So they can, it's a consolidated risk pool, so all the participating communities would get the same rate. But again, as Greg was saying, if some of them are in trouble, if their reserves are low and they have to build up their trust fund reserve, historically over the last couple of years, there have been some large increases.
Can I ask a question regarding the HSA? Folks that are in the HSA right now, how much is the town contributing to their account?
Currently, it's the difference between the cost to the town of the regular HMO and what is not. It's the same cost to the town of the HSA as it is our regular healthcare HMO. So whatever savings
Sorry,
we have between that and the 60/40 we put toward it. So it's a few $100 contribution. There, however, are some proposals to increase that contribution to that are being discussed in union negotiation so that it would be far more substantial.
all right, sorry. I'm
Believe
if you gave me a value, I missed that totally. I'm not sure why, but
It was a couple $100 is contributed to the HSA accounts currently. And that number is the difference between what the town was saving when they originally migrated over.
So this current year, Renee, the individual, we contributed $125.18, and the family, we contributed $311.48, and we spread that over the number of payrolls. So they do get a portion of that each week.
Plus, there is a proposal that is being discussed in the union negotiations to significantly increase that amount. And I think those numbers have been shared with you by Jim. So whatever that number is there, you would add on the number that Jim had indicated, which again, as we've discussed before, currently, even if you were to use the full deductible for the family plan, you would still save money from use of the regular plan. Currently, the savings between the HSA contribution and mainly the premium savings is about 31.67%. The plan is about 31.67% cheaper.
So is this a yearly contribution from the town? Or is this a one-shot deal when you join?
We're having
Like
communication.
for folks that joined this year, did families get 311.48 one time?
We did that.
It varies each year, but it is a yearly contribution. It is not a one-time contribution.
We spread that out over the pay week, each payroll week. So whether it be 42 or 52, that number's divided
Oh,
up.
sorry.
Someone's freezing. Can't hear her.
So
Renee,
it's
we can't hear you.
So it's divided up by payroll, right?
That's how we've been doing it, yes.
Right, yeah. Okay, so I was just looking for the approximate yearly contribution and wanted to verify that it was each year.
Yes, so again, for this year, it's 129.06 and 321.14. I believe actually that's, is that for 21? That might be my 20. Did I get, is that the number the same as you had, Melissa?
No, I had 125.18.
Okay.
311.
The number I just gave is the number for
Fiscal year 21.
21. So it's 129.06 and 321.14.
Okay.
Can I ask, when would be the end of the open enrollment period for this year? I mean, we're still, as you know, we're still in collective bargaining negotiations and you know, haven't still, you know, I don't know when it's going to end. So,
Well, we have talked about if we have some sort of change in the plans brought about by collective bargaining, then we may consider a special open enrollment. But in terms of any kind of substantive change for the July 1, when the teachers, you know, it starts to affect their paycheck in May, the timing does not allow for that. But we did talk about a possible special, if we were to in some way change the plans, we would allow a special enrollment.
So is that something that you have to get an okay from Maya with, or is that something that you can do as a town?
Maya has already given us that go-ahead last year when we proposed this. They said that they would allow a special enrollment period if we were to change that contribution.
Okay.
So currently we're in negotiations if the HSA numbers, and again, I'm hesitant to say them publicly since they're being discussed in negotiation and I'm not supposed to, you know, reveal what is being offered in negotiation in a public forum. But you're looking at a 40%, 39 to 40% savings in the premium rate. When you combined the the combination of the premium and the HSA savings contribution would save an employee about 40% from what they would be paying in the HMO Blue New England currently.
Melissa, how many people are using the HSA right now? How many of our?
I think it's
Currently,
14,
we have about 16 people in it.
16.
Thank you.
And obviously those numbers would be much higher if the teachers were, we believe that they would be at least 30 or 40 higher should some of the school unions agree to take that plan.
So what, in the past when we talked about this, Greg, you had talked about being able to provide the teachers union with a written agreement that a non-high deductible HMO would always be available, that the high deductible would be an option of an HMO, not the only HMO in years to come. So I'm not sure if that still stands, but that is definitely a concern, still is a concern for accepting an HSA as an option, or the high deductible HSA as an option.
What was, I believe, and again, this gets into some negotiation, but I believe what Jim had offered you in the past is still valid today.
But
So
can I just ask, can we agree to language that, without talking about too specifically about negotiations, are we able to agree to language that limits the town's ability to change health insurance plans? Basically meaning you have to continue to offer an HMO and a PPO and the high deductible plan.
Well, my understanding is you have to offer an indemnity style plan, so you
That's
can't
the
eliminate,
PPO, right?
That's a
eliminate
PPO.
the PPO,
Right.
or what's considered to be an indemnity plan. Although our numbers in that plan are obviously quite low.
Mhm.
But in terms of, we had an agreement. Obviously, our intent when we offered the HSA was as an option, and it's acknowledged any kind of change would have to involve negotiation. So certainly we can codify that in writing. So.
Okay, well, I know we're not negotiating here, but it's problematic with the Dartmouth Educators Association bargaining with the school committee over something that involves a town commitment. So contractually, the school committee is hesitant to agree to language that involves the town. So what I am asking is for some type of document that will guarantee that the non-high deductible HMO will not go away. However shape or form that can take, I'm okay with that. Whether it be in the contract, then the town gives the school committee, the go-ahead for that, or it's, a written statement from the town. But, the DEA's position regarding offering a high deductible HMO does not change. If we don't have a guarantee that a non-high deductible HMO will always be offered along with the indemnity plan, which, I have thrown out in the past that I think we should keep the PPO at a 52-48 or a 50-50 split and give the benefit of the HMO a greater, make it more appealing and cost effective to the town and to members. The PPO, we have only a few that use it, but it is costly, and that's the one that tends to lose the town more money. That being said, I know it's something that still needs to be offered. My concern is that, again, we agree to saying, okay, so the Dartmouth educators will agree as to allow the high deductible to be an option, and then a year from now, the town decides that it will be the only option. That is something that we cannot agree to. And unless we have that in writing, we will continue to hold our position, which then, hurts the town, hurts negotiations with school committees. So I'm just looking for help there.
Well, Renee, I mean, I think I see what you're saying. I think we can certainly do it contract to contract. In the future, to say something's in kind of perpetuity that the town would maintain that plan, can't guarantee that for anything. But I think you could do it through the course of a contract, and then at the next contract, look at doing the same thing. I don't see major changes between this contract and like the next contract, but like I said, I think we'd certainly be willing to look at something like that, put that in writing, but it would be, like I said, contract to contract.
All right, so Jim, do you understand then what Sean said? Like,
I understand.
so you'll be able to guide us for next steps?
Well, I mean, I don't know about that. I can tell you that, I mean, yeah, I have no problem in negotiations saying for the life of this contract, there will be an HMO and a high deductible plan and the PPO plan. So I think everybody here is fine with that for the life of this contract. But beyond that, I don't think I have any authority to agree.
I mean, the important thing to stress is you cannot, I can't speak for who is here in the future or whatever, but all of this is subject to contract negotiation. So the town can't just all of a sudden say we're getting rid of the HMO and only having the high deductible. That would have to be negotiating under any arrangement. And certainly I'm speaking only for myself to put that in writing that, again, the town has no intent to eliminate the HMO and acknowledges that any change would be subject to negotiation in terms of the HMO. I certainly think we could do that. But I'm only speaking for myself. And we were willing to do that before.
Right. So if that language were to say that the town will offer a PPO, an HMO, and a high deductible plan, and any change to that will be subject to negotiation, does that sound acceptable to you folks on the town side?
Yeah, that's acceptable.
All right. Renee, you understand what we're talking about there?
Yes. Now, again, is that going to be for the life of this contract?
That's not what I just said.
Okay. All right. So, okay. Yeah, because Jim and I are just stuck. We're, in the situation where we recognize, the DEA bargains with school committee. School committee typically doesn't bargain health insurance, but we have to bargain directly with the school committee for a change in our premium split. So it's like we're always chasing our tails, so we just needed help moving forward. So if that document is in agreement, your understanding, then that will certainly help us in negotiations. So thank you. And I understand as far as when we think about changing plans, then we, that happens through the PEC, and then the town would bargain directly with, with each union. I understand that for the future. It's just.
Yeah, the PEC, just to be clear, with the PEC, that's plan design, but any changes in contribution, that is still subject to collective bargaining. You could do collaborative bargaining where you get all the groups together in one room and try to bargain as a group, but it is not, that is exempt from the Section 2123 process, the contribution level.
Right. So right now our contribution levels are different or could be different for each union with the town.
No. The town has to offer the same insurance to all employees.
But I thought you didn't adopt 2123 or whatever it is.
It's
2123 is the PEC process you described.
Okay, so
I'm just saying that there are limits to what can be used in that process. It's built around plan design. It's not in terms of contract.
okay. All right, so then is it 19 and to 21 or something. So has this town adopted the law that says that what one town union gets, all other town unions get? As far as a premium split?
That's just a law. That's not.
Yeah, but that has to be, but that has to be adopted though.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
We
not
have-
all,
We have adopted laws that allow us to provide for certain levels of contribution. There are various laws. There's one law that allows you to do 50-50. There's another law that allows you to do more than 50. There's another law that allows you to do 50-50 for retirees. There's another law that allows you to do more than 50 for retirees. So we have adopted all the laws that allow us to do more than 50 for both the actives and the retirees.
I know I'm not remembering the number correctly, but I know that there is a segment of the law that the select board would either choose to adopt or not adopt relative to all unions having the same premium split. So my question was-
Renee, so
Yes,
under,
Sue.
so Greg was talking about plan design negotiations under 21 through 23. If the town had negotiated or was using section 19
Section
for
19.
plan design changes, then that does require that all across the board, all the contributions have to be the same.
Okay.
Is that what you're referring to, section 19?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
The one thing I do want to say, and I think Stu, chime in to make sure I'm correct on this, and this is important for you to understanding about getting rid of your concerns about us getting rid of the HMO. So under section 2123, the PEC process, we can only change the plan up to the GIC equivalent. Anything more, you would have to actually negotiate. So anything involving getting rid of the HMO and going up to the HSA, which is above the deductibles for the GIC equivalent, would have to involve negotiation. There is no avoiding it because you couldn't just get rid of the HMO and go to the HSA without negotiation. Correct, Sue?
Correct.
So we can put it in writing, but you have that, the reality is we could not do that without negotiation. Do you understand, Renee?
I do. I still would like it in writing.
Well, I don't see myself personally, I don't see a problem putting in writing what already is codified in law.
Yep. Okay.
And so to
appreciate
me,
that.
that's fine. And
Okay.
I'd be happy to do it if we'd be very open to the teachers taking, I understand, I'm very aware the HSA is not for everyone. But there is a segment of our enrollees, of those who are eligible to enroll, who find the HSA high deductible to be very favorable to them. So. Again, it is an option. It's not a replacement. A replacement would require full-fledged negotiation. And at this point, speaking for myself, that's not our plan. Our plan is to do otherwise. And certainly, I can't say someone 10 years from now won't be trying to negotiate that. But unless they change the law, it's going to require outright negotiation. Certainly, if you have that language in an MOU, if they change the law, you still have that right to negotiate based on that MOU.
So
Okay.
Renee,
Yes.
so what I will do is I will write a piece of language and share it with Walter and you tonight.
Okay. All right.
We have bargaining tomorrow morning, so.
Yeah. All day long, Jim. You and I, all day long. 3
Looking forward
years
to
back
it.
to back. You're gonna,
Yeah.
you're gonna want to do karaoke when it's done,
Why did we agree to that? I don't
because
know.
we're stupid.
Yeah.
All right, so you'll have that? Great,
Okay.
Jim, thank you.
Yeah, I'll just draft something up and share it with
Okay.
Walter. And
All right, and
Jim, can you also share that with the town,
Sure.
Sean and myself?
It's
too,
just
please?
going to say that, list the existing plans and say that any change, that obviously that the parties agree to offer, that these plans will be offered to to the employees, the bargaining unit members, and that any change would be subject to bargaining. Sound good?
yes,
As far as open enrollment goes, if we don't have a memorandum of agreement though, I won't be offering it to the DEA. Is that my understanding?
Yeah. Yeah, unless we come to some other agreement. I mean, yeah, we do not have any agreement at this point. So I would say that the DEA has not accepted it unless Renee wants to do something else on the side.
That's how we did it for the town side. We had MOUs. It was not part of the main contract. It was done as an MOU.
Right. Well, we tried that, but tried that last year.
Yeah.
Maybe we're coming, maybe the fact that we'll be locked in a virtual room together all day tomorrow will resolve everything.
maybe.
Scott, you have anything to say? You've been very quiet.
Mr. Lake's muted. He's unmuted. Scott? No.
You may want to check your volume thing to make sure the. So Scott, what we said earlier, and you've already gotten this, is the premiums for the active plans are going up 3.1%. That's something I think you already know, but this would be for fiscal year 21, and you start to see it in the paycheck come June for the police officers. That increase, well, we wish it was less. The good news is it is a positive trend for us. It's below the Meyer average of 3.7%. So it's largely attributable to claims experience. We've been having some very positive trends as of late in terms of claims experience. If that continues, it could help to keep the rates down, not just this year, but for future years. Although I don't know what all the outside situation in terms of healthcare and COVID-19 and all, I have no idea how that's ultimately going to affect bottom line numbers. But that's not specific to Dartmouth. That's something the whole nation will have to grapple with. I guess we're done, unless someone has anything else to say.
I know Scott is chatting here that he only has audio, but I don't know if you've heard it.
I haven't heard anything from Scott. Oh, I did. Oh, I see. I did read the attached. Okay. Oh, and just to be clear, we have, let's see, Scott. I guess we have, do we have quorum? How many people are on the group there, Melissa?
There should be 9, but I have 3 that never really filled the position.
Okay.
So there's 5 of us here today, right?
No, we have 1, 2, 3, 4.
Jim doesn't count?
Oh, Dawn is there.
Just
Dawn,
here for
Yeah,
fun.
Don is here. So it's our intent to sign, just to be clear, it is our intent to sign the renewal with Maya. Again, if we do any kind of change for the future, the idea is we would have a special open enrollment, but for the renewal, it is our intent to sign. So just to be very clear on that, if anyone has an issue with that, now's the time to express that.
Say that again, please. I'm sorry. An issue with what? Signing on to Maya for,
For next year at July 1, again, the premium changes take effect before July 1, but signing on to the increase of 3.1% for the non-medics plans and
Yep.
minus 7.95% for the dental.
and that's a 1-year commitment again with Maya, right?
That is correct.
Okay. So can I ask if the town is bargaining insurance splits with any other units, or is it just the educators' units?
Just the educators.
But if that were to occur, it would be something that would have impacts on the whole town.
Yeah, so we're just looking like the bad guys. Yeah, it hasn't been a fun position, let me tell you. Has not been a fun position. Okay. Yeah. Kind of wish that we didn't have to spread the wealth. Make other people step up, but that's just me. All right, thank you all.
All right, thank you all.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all.
thank you.